Okay, so here's the deal. If they can't rattle your cages, none of the magic works. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know about 8 weeks ago, I went to court for a bullshit warrant for violating a bullshit restraining order that came when I checked into my daughter's well-being out of fear she was being molested by the, turns out, felon who her baby mama has been living with. Anyway, when I went to that court, I got triggered by some creepy Cranston police cruisers, which had been hassling me, and then an actual killer who they put in the courtroom with me. And tried to isolate me. And they went out into this corridor. And they were doing some sort of weird chanting, and they wanted me to stay in that room alone while they did some weird chanting. Well, I got out of there, and I got to freedom in Connecticut. And then they did the thing all over again by hassling me, my hotel people, to try to get me out of that, and putting some stuff in my car. So I ditched my car, and I went on a 6-week journey from town to town. Every town I went to, there would be another stalking agent of some sort. For example, I made it up to Glen Burnie, Maryland at one point, and I went into a cell phone place to see if I could get a new SIM card for my phone, which they had cloned. And right when I went in there, these two cops who had tailed me right from my hotel came into the place and just started hassling everybody. Now, they didn't say anything to me directly, and everybody seemed surprised, but they surrounded me. And I thought, how strange. I left, and then they left. They never actually tried to arrest me. They just wanted to rattle my cage, you see? Interesting, right? Shift down to town after town. I've traveled a lot of this country now over the last 6 weeks. And every time I go to, at some point, someone tries to rattle my cages. At first, it scared me because I'm not somebody with a criminal history. So at first, when this sort of thing happened, I had this big plug in my gut, like an animal survival impulse, which had always been there, except in moments of crisis when I had to go all in. But over these weeks, every time this has happened, I've started to notice that animal response of fear. And I've started to really heal it so that I can feel the survival response and act appropriately, but without any fear. Almost everything in our culture, the whole basis is chaos. Chaos magic is what our culture, the Matrix, is founded on. And chaos magic requires that we be in a constant state of stress, because as long as there's some animal fear there that is unresolved, then we give our power away. And what's crazy today is that I arrive at this town to find that they were waiting for me, which means that they had to actually get in and see, my tickets. And before, that would have freaked me out. But now I just started realizing, well, Jesus Christ, if they're going to follow me around like this, why don't they bite? And the reason is because they don't get to bite unless my cages get rattled and I do something stupid. You see, we have all the power until we give it away. But we give it away, most of us, because we carry anxiety and fear at a deep gut level. Even if we're relatively brave like I've been, I was carrying deep fears at an animal level. And I'm proud to say the last 7 weeks or so, I've had to face all of them and move through pretty much all of them to where now I can actually see what's going on, but not give my power to it and just make smart choices. Now, I assume, given the way I understand the world to work, that I'm going to continue to be stalked or harassed at some level until I'm completely clear of any possibility of getting my cages rattled. And I feel like I'm pretty close. But one thing I know for sure is I'm closer than I've ever been. Because I've understood courage, I've been courageous in my life, but I've never been able to look at this sort of deep, caustic stalking and harassment and laugh and see the silliness of it and connect it to my metaphysical understanding, which is that the Matrix is built on the lie of separation. The lie of separation is built on the lie of fear. And the lie of fear, when we see past it, brings a big laugh. And when we get to that laughter, no one, not all of the armies in the world, can do anything to disturb our peace, because we are the peace of God.